The Best in the World podcast with Richard Parr.
Hello and welcome to episode 63 of The Best in the World with Richard Parr, where every week I speak to an Olympic champion, a world record holder, or a world number one to find out what they do differently to the rest of us to become the very best in their sport. We get a fascinating insight from people who have gold medals. Yes, they are the champions. This week I'm speaking to Nicola Thost. Nicola won the Olympic gold medal in the half pipe in snowboarding at the 1998 Winter Olympics. We haven't had too many Winter Olympic stars on the program before, so it was really good to get Nicola's thoughts on the program. And she really enjoyed being on this show because it actually brought her full circle, because this podcast today is coming out on her 40th birthday. So she really appreciated the chance to reflect back on her career at a milestone in her life. So she really appreciated that. And I think we'll appreciate what she has to say as we learn all kinds of different things, including coping with injuries, including training, including diet, nutrition. We also just talk about how she just loves sport and she loves exercise, and we go through all of that in this really good podcast with the 1998 Olympic gold medalist Nicola Thost. That's all coming up in just a moment, but I want to tell you that this podcast is now part of the Sportacino network. You can find us all at sportacino.com. All of the previous episodes are there. They're using the Acast platform, and also this podcast is on iTunes and on Stitcher, but everything is on the sportacino.com. And of course follow us on Facebook and on Twitter at Sportacino, and then you will always be up to date with what is going on with the best in the world with Richard Parr. All right, let's get to it. Let's get to the interview with the Olympic champion Nicola Thost.
The Best in the World podcast with Richard Parr.
Nicola Thost, Olympic snowboarding champion. Welcome to The Best in the World with Richard Parr. Such an amazing career, going back to winning that medal in 1998 where you won gold in Nagano. But let's find out, what are you up to right now, Nicola?
Oh, actually, you caught me right on my start for the summer training. I'm on the Canary Islands, and at this moment, I look at the ocean. It's sunny and really warm temperature, and I just enjoy being here.
Oh, fantastic. I'm very jealous of that warm weather. So, being a snowboarder, what kind of things will you be training in the warm weather? What benefits does it bring?
I always love the mix of having a real winter season and a summer season, and I believe in doing as many different sports as possible, just to keep the variety and make your body ready for whatever up to. Obviously, I was in the freestyle snowboarding, and I started when quite in the beginning of when it came up, which was really, really different to what we see today on TV and on the Olympics. So we had to find our way to figure out what's the best to prepare.
Yeah, with that in mind, for those who kind of haven't seen the differences between back when it started and now, what are the main differences, would you say, at the moment?
Of course, the half pipe and the slopestyle courses are way bigger. They're really in perfect shape. Back in the days, we had to shovel our own half pipes. The jumps were a lot smaller. And what I guess, looking back, what I had a big profit of is when I was a girl, I did a lot of gymnastics and ballet and swimming and like all kind of different sports that strengthened my body and that made me able to also do those artistic things in the pipe.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And I see you right now, you mentioned you're doing lots of other different sports, and I see you're doing a lot of yoga, is that right?
Yeah, that's true. I picked up a couple things that I kind of forgot over the last 25 years. Obviously, snowboarding ruled my life since I was 16. When I started, and I just fell in love right away with being out in the mountains and in the snow. So snowboarding was my highest priority. And now I just found some time to pick up some dancing, some yoga, doing just different movements again, and it fits really well to a grown-up body, I would say.
Better than, say, a younger body.
Yeah, it doesn't have so much to do with age, but I went through, of course, a lot of great success and good times, but I also experienced a lot of injuries, which also caused to stop my freestyle career, I think 15 years ago. I tore my ACL 3 times and broke my wrist, and things that are really normal these days, but back in the days, injuries were not that often. And yeah, I just try to, I love sports. I love being active and move, and I just had to figure out sports that fit to each phase of your life you're in.
Well, when you would get injured, how would you cope mentally? Are you someone who'd get really frustrated, or would you try and make the most of the rest, or would you still try and do some form of exercise using your other parts of the body, or would you just try and completely rest?
I was ever since I was really passionate and determined about what I loved. And I loved snowboarding so much that all my focus was on being back on snow as fast as possible. So, of course, after operation and listening to what the doctors said, I just try to keep on track and do all those things that help to make my body strong and healthy again.
Were you ever so desperate to get on the snow that you'd kind of defy the doctor's orders? He might say, 6 weeks, but you were back on the snow in 4 weeks, and anything like that?
Not really. It was always tough to stay at home and not move because I was so used to, being out there doing sports. But I try to listen to my body, what I could do. But also, which probably caused the second and third ACL, which happened quite close to the first one, is that the doctor said, "You're ready to go." And I was in such good shape and so motivated to ride that my body still knew all the tricks and the things, but the fine mechanics, I would say, and the nerves that react to some bails or some unexpected situations, of course, they were not that good anymore because I was missing the time on snow. And looking back, that's probably the most important thing, that not only you wait what the doctors say, but start slowly and keep in mind, even if you feel good, if you feel strong, if you feel healthy, there's still, your body needs time to get back to that high level of sport.
And of course, as you mentioned, the sport has changed since you started it, and we've seen so many changes in sports science and diet and nutrition and everything like that in the last 5 to 10 years, let alone when you started your career. Are there any things that you know now that you wish you'd known when you started your career?
Whoa. I just A couple of weeks ago, I read a fun interview I did a lot of years ago, and what I mentioned there was I wished when I stopped snowboarding, I could say it was a school of life, and I can definitely say that today. I'm still snowboarding. I love snowboarding. It's changed as much as I changed over the last 30 years, but it was a school of life, and I went. A lot of times I went through the hard way. So learning by doing and trying things, and that made me successful, but it also caused injuries. So probably things I'd love to know back then is that rest is part of the training, that you need to rest to be as good as possible. That's probably a big part I had to learn, and I'm still learning.
So you say that was a big part of your training, but let's get an idea of what a typical training day was like for you, Nicola. Why don't you give us an idea of leading up to a big competition? What would be your typical day?
Yeah, in the beginning, looking back, snowboarding was one of the first fun sports. It was not a regular professional sport, which it is gladly today. But of course, it was a lot about having fun, meeting your friends, trying things, of course, partying, traveling. It was more of a lifestyle. But I came out of the tough school of gymnastics, where we trained 5 days a week, 2 hours, and it also hurt some time. And where I learned that if you want to be successful, you have to work for it. So my typical training day was that I went for running and went in the gym and did some weightlifting and strengthened my muscles, but it was not so welcome back then. You know, people were looking at you like, "Wow, you're supposed to party." You know, you're like, "What are you up to here?" So I went running. I went in the gym, but most of the time I spent in the snow and kept on trying out new tricks and stuff. So as I said before, it was a lot of learning by doing, and I knew if I know my body well enough, which means when I wake up in the morning and I listen to my body and I know, is it tired or is it just lazy? So to choose the right training myself without having a coach or someone who told me what to do. That was a important thing for me.
When did you get a coach, Nicola? Did you ever get a coach?
I never had a coach. My only coach was in gymnastics and all the sports I did when I was a little girl, and they taught me a lot. But I love to get to know those things myself and figure it out. And I studied sports economics and sports marketing after my snowboarding career. So I was always really interested in being a coach myself, obviously for my own sport so far.
And you're doing it now?
A couple of years ago, like 7 years ago, I created snowboarding camps for little kids to support them in their passion wherever they want to go in snowboarding, either if they want to be a pro or something. And I didn't coach them in the first way to how to do their tricks or how to get better. What I love is to be a coach in the whole package, which means supporting them in doing what they love and believe that what they can accomplish and stuff like that. So today I'm more of a, I would say, mental and life coach than concentrating on the sport itself.
Oh, fantastic! So, what is normally kind of your top tip when it comes to the mental side of sports?
You have to find those sports that make you jump out of bed in the morning. So it has to be a passion. Like, it has to be something you want to pick up regularly, not something that someone else forces you. So that's the first place. Find your passion. Find what moves you love. And then it's the daily practice, I would say, including the pause, of course, but not only doing it like a week, intense 7-day a week, and then stop for half a year. It is more keep on doing what you do and be patient in your growing and getting better, and that also keeps the fun, because those little steps of success, those are really important to keep the fun with it.
The Best in the World podcast with Richard Parr.
More from Nicola in just a moment, but I want to tell you about one of today's sponsors. It is Audible. Audible are one of the leading suppliers of audiobooks in the whole world. They've got over 180,000 titles to choose from. It's a product I personally use. At the moment, I'm listening to Mastery by Robert Greene. I'm really enjoying it. I've learned a lot from this audiobook. I've actually got a few stored in my iPhone already to listen to. I think I've got Iniesta's book coming up as well, but I'm enjoying Mastery by Robert Greene. Go and check it out. And in fact, you could check it out for free. Yes, it's a 16-hour audiobook, but you could get it for free. All you've got to do is go to audibletrial.com/best. I'll say that one more time. It's audibletrial.com/best. And that way you would get a free 30-day trial of their product, and that includes one free download. So perhaps that could be Mastery by Robert Greene. Go and check it out, audibletrial.com/best. All right, let's return to my conversation with Nicola Thost.
The Best in the World podcast with Richard Parr.
What about nerves, Nicola? Because obviously a sport like yours can be pretty scary at times. It's not... it is for you professionals, but for people who haven't done it before, it could be pretty scary. And also from a performance standpoint, you know, when you're competing at an Olympic Games, you've got all these eyes looking at you, and you've probably built so much pressure for yourself as well through the work. How do you cope with nerves? What kind of things do you recommend?
There's different types of people, and for me it was always my goal to figure out how good I can get when I have as much time as I wanted to be snowboarding. So it was not getting Olympic champion in the first place. It was more a goal I set for myself, which I wanted to figure out. So being in the Olympics was, for myself, I was kind of the same situation than being in any other competition. That made it a little bit easier to handle the pressure. Of course, you have to train those situations. So what I learned is, if you ride for yourself, just for fun, no one watching, no pressure, no nothing. If you train, imagining like, you know, setting up a vision. Oh, if this would be the Olympics now, and it's this one run which counts. So I go for it now and try how it works out. So yeah, it's a lot about training your mental state as well, and in a safe situation. And it's a safe situation, obviously, when it doesn't matter if you fall or not, you know.
So we've talked about the body and injuries. We've talked about the mind. Now, what about what you're putting into your body? Now, you said as a snowboarder, everyone refers to it as partying and everything like that. But did you think back then about what you were eating, or could you literally just eat anything?
Oh, no, I didn't eat just anything. No, I try to eat healthy. Healthy is just a really vast definition of eating. There is a lot of theories out there, and again, each person has specific things that are better or not so good to fuel your body. So I try to keep on that, like, a good mix of fresh fruits and vegetables and good energy, like no fast food and stuff. But I was not too strict on that, because as well with the eating or the sport or the life in general, it has to be fun as well. If you're too strict for a long time, it makes you tired and it loses the fun of life. So I try to kind of, find the right balance.
Would there be a particular meal that you'd enjoy the most before a competition?
Just before a competition, I couldn't eat that much anyway, because, I was nervous. I was not, as I said before, to me, the mental game was a lot of learning and a lot of concentrating. So my body showed me, there's something happening. But right before the competition, it's important to drink enough and sleep enough before, and have some good energy bars that are not too heavy to digest. And I try to make sure to always have quick energy with me, like a banana or something, just when it gets too tense.
Could you normally sleep well before a big event, or would you kind of be up thinking about it, worrying about it, being nervous about it, or would you sleep quite well?
I slept quite well, but this also didn't come just by accident. It was more of the mindset that I learned to calm my mind and concentrate on other things in life. That it's not only this what's important in your life. There's also the life that's going on after that one day, and so that helped me to sleep well and to set everything in a healthy perspective.
Did you do any meditation or anything like that?
Not that I knew that I meditated as it's known out there, like sitting there, breathing, doing nothing. I got into meditation more and more when I grew up and when I got older. But which is really interesting, that when I was a little girl and had my greatest success in snowboarding, I did a lot of things just naturally that looking at it as a coach today were really helpful to make me successful. So meditation to me was being out there in nature by myself and not to be too distracted from other things like big crowds or information or whatever. That was my kind of meditation. And today we call it go for a walk in nature and just breathe. I did it and I didn't even knew it's a part of meditation.
Mm-hmm. So when you've been able to kind of get that mindset of it's just an Olympic Games and you've trained just as hard as other events and, you've kind of calmed yourself down, how did it actually feel when you did become the Olympic gold medalist?
It was really overwhelming. I was 21 years, which sounds kind of old for these days because the sports athletes are so young. It's getting younger and younger. But I guess I just got thrown into this huge, in this huge happening, which I never expected before to even be part of it. So what I remember is I stood down there when I knew I won. A lot of pressure went off my shoulders because even if no one knew out there within the snowboarding scene, I had a good chance to win because I've been winning a lot of other World Cups before. But my biggest personal winning or success was that I got a tough injury right before the Olympics, like 2 months before. I couldn't train. I bruised all my ribs and everything. So I wasn't even sure if I come, and I arrived just 2 days ahead of the comp, and I didn't feel well, and I didn't feel comfortable with my riding, and it was a big, big struggle. So being able to show 2 good runs that made me win this huge event was so much more than just winning the Olympics, because it was really an extraordinary situation before.
Wow, that's really interesting. I've obviously interviewed over 60 Olympic and world champions on this show, and you're not the first person to have got an injury right before the Olympics and still won gold. I had Mahe Drysdale, a rower, and he was injured just before the Olympics, and he then went on to win gold. Same with another swimmer called Lenny Kreiselberg. Just before the Olympics, he had a bit of an injury and then went on to win the Olympic Games. And by talking to them, they mentioned that part of the reason they think they were able to still win gold is actually because by being injured, it gave their body a little bit of a rest, while other people are kind of working even harder towards the games. And actually the body needs to rest a little so they can put that full performance on the day. Is there any truth to that for you, Nicola?
Yeah, that I can relate to this quite well. It's also that it naturally takes off pressure you mostly put on yourself, because you know you're not in the best condition to show what you're able to perform. So you're probably going into that competition a little bit relaxer. Others that are, let's say, I trained for this like 4 years, and just a week before, I'm making sure I'm on the highest peak of everything, of my training. And it's the body rest, but also a mental rest you get, and taking off pressure, which is quite helpful.
Yeah, well, it's been absolutely amazing talking to you, Nicola. We've got a really good insight of the body and the mind of what makes an Olympic champion, what makes an amazing snowboarder like yourself. It's been really good to talk to you. Just before you go, why don't you let us know where we can find you on the internet to continue learning from you and being inspired by you, please?
Yeah, I have my official Facebook page and Instagram page, and you're welcome to follow me if you search for my name. And there you'll find also a couple tips for, what makes all around a happier life. Welcome to follow.
I will definitely do that, and I'm sure the listeners will as well. Nicola Thost, thank you so much for being on the program, and thank you for being the best in the world.
Thanks for listening. Thank you.
The Best in the World podcast with Richard Parr.
Yes, as I mentioned, I had a great conversation with Lenny Kreiselberg and Mahe Drysdale, as I discussed with Nicola. Go back and check them. All of the archive is at sportocchino.com. It's also on iTunes. Please give us a rating and review. and subscribe to us on iTunes if you're not already. We have had one snowboarder on the programme before. It was Gretchen Bleiler. A really fun chat with her. Go back and listen to that. It's all part of the archive. I think that's about episode 30, 32. I'll check it out, but you should go and listen to it. There's lots to learn from Gretchen Bleiler. And we'll be having more Winter Olympic stars on the podcast coming soon. Of course, their season's kind of ending, so that gives them a little bit more free time to have a conversation with me on the best in the world with Richard Parr, so we can learn a little bit more about them. If you've got any questions or if you've got any stars you'd like to learn from, reach out to me. I'm on Twitter at Richard_Parr. All right, next Wednesday we will have another Olympic superstar or a world champion or a world number one or a world record holder that you can learn from here on the best in the world with Richard Parr. But until then, have a wonderful week.
The Best in the World podcast with Richard Parr.